Hey guys, Shinlock's here, back with our blind playthrough of Brigador. With me today, well, both cats. Jack just left, Manny's right here. What I did want to do today, at least to start, is the contract, because we never went over it. I am losing my voice a little bit though, or my voice is a little scratchy, so we'll probably just do that real fast, and then switch to maybe a freelance mission, or maybe try, because there's still whatever these are. I'm very curious about what those are. Alright, so Brigador Contract 1. This Brigador Action Agreement, the agreement is made and entered into this day of by and between the Solo Nobre concern, aka SNC, a blank company, hereinafter called company, and blank, hereafter called contractor. So obviously the company name is whoever is actually funding these missions is kept private. You know, the month and day or whatever is whatever, that's fine, but the actual name of the person's not important either. Whereas company desires to retain contractor to develop and deliver to company the access for assault and seizure of Solo Nobre, the asset. Right, so we're saboteurs or whatever. We're allowing them to invade, right? We're softening the target. Whereas contractor desires to develop the asset. Goddamn, excuse me. Develop the asset on the terms and conditions set forth herein. Now, therefore, the parties hereto do hereby mutually agree as follows. Term of contract. This agreement will become effective immediately and will continue in effect until the services provided for under this agreement have been performed to company's satisfaction or until otherwise terminated as provided in this agreement. Should contractor breach any terms of agreement, company will perforce terminate contractor agreement, contractor person, goddamn, excuse me, and any such individuals deemed by the company a liability to the assets, secrecy, and or concerns of the company and agreement. So they'll kill you, they'll kill your family, and whoever else they think you told. Services performed by contractor. Contractor agrees to provide at minimum access to the company of secured access points, zones, for ground action in all asset districts via destruction of orbital defense array, municipal infrastructure providing power or munitions to said arrays, and or local defense forces securing and manning said defense arrays. All zones are to be delivered by noon the day following acceptance of the agreement deadline. So you have like possibly 36 hours, but more likely, 18 or something like that, and that's hard. That's hard because I've literally been in combat, and so even non-combat operations, like high-intensity stuff like patrols where you could be attacked, you're good for like 4 hours or maybe 6. But of course they typically have you doing it for like 8, 10, 12. You know what I mean? Like contractor will determine the method, details, and means of performing services described in Section 201. Company may specify only the results desired in regard to the specified services. Oh, that's interesting. So they're basically like, take out this thing, and you're like, okay, I get to choose. I blow it up. Or whatever. Or I cut power or something. Contractor may, at contractor's own expense, employ any assistance contractor deems necessary to perform services required of contractor by this agreement, so you could subcontract. Company may control, direct, supervise, or terminate contractor's assistants or employees in the performance of those services should contractor breach this article. Yeah. Article 3, compensation. In consideration for the services to be performed by contractor, company agrees to pay the contractor the sum of... For services rendered under this agreement, company agrees to pay contractor the sum on completion of agreement following company's successful seizure of assets, and pursuant contractor survival for a minimum of 2 Solo Novo weeks. The interval. Ah. Yeah, so you have to survive for 2 weeks after. It's only after they officially seize it. There's a lot of weaselly language in here, right? Because they could just be like, well, we never officially seized it. We invaded, but, the combat operations are ongoing. They never surrendered officially. So it's been 10 years later, but kind of like with the U.S. in Afghanistan and whatever, where Biden's like, we're pulling out on this day so I can look good, and then the plane's taking off, and people are trying to hold onto the wheels of the plane and falling off as it's taking off. They're falling to their death. Yeah, there's your politicians, people. I want to do this so that I could say I ended the thing. Yeah, anyway. So yeah, that would be something like that. Like, oh, it hasn't officially ended. I realize it's been 20 years and you haven't been paid, but, also, they could probably just kill you, right? Should contractor cease life functions during interval, no amount of sum or any restitution will be paid to heirs or next of kin. In the case that heirs or next of kin should pursue action to acquire some, company may seek to dissuade or terminate said heirs or next of kin. I mean, that's sort of the thing. If you're hired to kill people, you know what I mean? Like, the company hiring people to kill you so they don't have to pay you it's not unexpected, is what I'm saying, But the thing is, they would only do that if, like, good people are hard to come by. But the problem is there's a lot of stupid people out there. So it's entirely feasible that you might be the best and they still might seek to kill you instead of just hiring you next time. You know what I mean? Anyway. Obligations of contractor. Contractor supplies all tools, equipment, instruments, supplies, and other materials required to perform the services under this agreement outside of initial drop supply provided by company to contractor specifications, unless contractor fails to provide said specifications in time for deployment once agreement becomes actionable. Okay, so basically they have the initial buy-in, but presumably that's deducted from your pay. But actually, then again, that's probably what this whole thing is. This is like you as the Brigador. And actually, it's very possible what this is us subcontracting out. Right? Like, it's entirely possible that the only actual mission we chose was the very first one where we squished the dude with our mech. And the rest of the time is us just subcontracting out people. But who knows? No, maybe not, because the initial tutorial missions are coming from the company. So, anyway. Contractor acknowledges time is of the essence of this agreement and that contractor's best efforts must be utilized to completely liberate all zones within the allotted time. Neither this agreement nor any duties or obligations under this agreement may be assigned by contractor without prior written consent to the company. Okay, so company requires approval before you can subcontract out. Article 5, Obligations of Company. Company agrees to assume no liability for any contractor actions, damages inflicted by contractor, or damages inflicted upon contractor, both physical and emotional, in pursuing the agreement. Company will comply with all reasonable requests of contractor necessary to performance of contractor's duties under this agreement levied prior to contractor deployment. Oh, hey, that's actually kind of cool. You can make requests before you deploy, and as long as they're reasonable, they'll grant them. Like, hey, I need, like, not just a mech, but a mech that's, like, big, and I need lots of ammo. And they're like, yeah, okay. Company agrees to sever all contact with and deny all knowledge of contractor, pursuant contractor engaging in actions identifiable in any way as being in connection with the company. Right. Once sum is delivered following successful liberation of zones and survival of interval, Company will erase all outwardly accessible record of transactions or knowledge related to agreement. Well, yeah, we're going to erase all evidence we worked with you. Copyright. All results in the proceeds of contractors' work hereunder, including without limitation, the asset and any revisions, amendments, modifications, translations, alterations, and enhancements, and sequels thereto, and derivative works therefrom, whether produced by contractor or a third party and regardless of form, including without limitation in all materials produced by contractor in fulfillment of its obligations hereunder, including but not limited to reports, memoranda, drawings, documentation, and models, shall be deemed to be a work made for hire for company within the means of the copyright laws of the blank, or any similar analogous law or statute of any other jurisdiction, and accordingly, company shall be the owner throughout the galaxy. Without limiting, contractor hereby signs all right, title, and interest in and to the asset and all foregoing furnished to company hereunder, whether copyrighted or not. Interest in and to the asset and all the foregoing furnished to company. Right, so basically, if you write a song about you being a Brigador, the company owns that. If you videotaped your slaughter, right, and posted up for clicks and to make money off of it, the company owns that. They literally own everything you did and do related to Solo Nobre and anything you produce afterwards about Solo Nobre. Which, I mean, which is weird because they just said they'd erase all connection, right? So you'd think that it doesn't make sense. Like, oh, the company owns the copyright, but also we're not connected. Like, I understand they're just doing this to make it look like they're evil or whatever, because, oh my god, they're taking your copyright too. Look how bad this company is. Like, well, you could be greedy, but you can't be stupid and greedy. You know what I mean? Okay, contractor shall assist company and its nominees in every proper way to secure, maintain, and defend for the company's own benefit copyrights, extensions, and renewals thereof on any and all such materials. In every proper way. Wow, so you have to fill out the copyright paperwork for the company as well. Anyway, termination of agreement. Company may terminate this agreement on the occurrence of any of the following events: inaction of contractor, breach of agreement by contractor, death or dissolution of contractor, assignment of this agreement by contractor without consent of company, public knowledge of contractor. Interesting. If contractor defaults in the performance of this agreement or materially breaches any of its provisions, company at company's option may serve written notice and or death to contractor if contractor fails to cure such default immediately. For purposes of this section, material breach of this agreement shall include but shall not be limited to contractor's failure to provide the asset to company by the deadline. Yeah. So accomplish everything they need you to do within the deadline by noon of tomorrow. Or they're never going to pay you and they might kill you. If company defaults in the performance of this agreement or materially breaches any of its provisions, contractor at contractor's option may serve verbal or transmitted written notice to company, and if company fails to cure such default within 5 days, contractor may terminate this agreement. That's hilarious. However, termination of agreement, even in event of agreement completion by contractor, guarantees that no sum or portion of sum shall be paid out to contractor or contractor benefactors in case of contractor death or dissolution. Yeah, so company, basically if the company doesn't hold up their end of the bargain, you can't do anything about it, and you can't say that the company is, basically it's a one-way contract. Right? There's no penalties for the company breaching. All the penalties are on your side. In the event of termination of this agreement by either party for breach as provided herein, no party shall have remedies available to it at law and in equity. Yeah, so, right. Basically saying you can't, no sue, no court, no nothing. If anyone breaches or terminates, then lawsuits it doesn't matter. Contractors, warranties, and indemnifications. Contractor represents and warrants company that, with respect to the asset which contractor will deliver to company in performance of this agreement, contractor warrants that has no right to make and disclose thereof without liability to any third party. Contractor has not sold, assigned, leased, licensed, or in any other way disposed of or encumbered the asset in whole or in part to any other party other than company. Right, so you're not working for anyone else. You cannot work on behalf of anyone else. You are a solo contractor to the company. Performance of the terms of this agreement, the performance of contractors' duties hereunder may breach any separate agreement by which contractor is bound or violate or infringe any rights of any third party, and so long as this agreement remains in effect, contractor may commit any acts consistent with pursuing this agreement and will not be liable via the company for any governmental, civic, or court-martial suits or war crimes. Right, so you basically have carte blanche. The company's got to be fucking big. Like, the company is the deep state, right? Like, as long as you do whatever, no government's going to hold you responsible. There are no, and there will not be, any liens, claims, or encumbrances against the asset which would derogate from or be inconsistent with any of the company's proprietary rights with respect thereto. Contractor represents and warrants that it is, and at all times during the term of this agreement will be, the holder of all consents necessary for it to perform its obligations hereunder. What was it? It basically said that previously, like the whole thing about war crimes and stuff, even if you breach another contract, as long as you're not breaching this contract, that contract doesn't count. Like, this contract supersedes any other contracts, including laws. Right? Like, that is some serious deep state shit right there. Anyway. In the event there are litigation or other claim pending or threatening or a fact which may be the basis of any claim against the asset or contractor may take any action which would prevent interference with the rights of company under this agreement. So if you are going to get sued, then you can just kill the person that's threatening to sue you. Contractor will indemnify and hold company free and harmless from any obligations, costs, claims, judgments, attorney's fees, undertaker's fees, mortician's fees, and attachments arising from, growing out of, or in any way connected with the services rendered to company under this agreement. Yeah. Wow. So literally they owe you nothing except for the money, which they may or may not pay you. But I mean, I'm going to be honest, the government usually takes care of its contractors, right? And I'm sure it is a government. The deep state or whatever is a government it's just a world government. Representations, warranties, and indemnification rights set forth in this agreement shall survive execution of this agreement, the performance of the obligation of contractor hereunder, and cancellation or termination of this agreement. Interesting. So there's parts of the contract that survive even the termination of the contract. That's not good. Like I said, it's a one-sided contract. Okay. Article 9, General Provisions. Any notice required under this agreement to be served upon company shall be delivered verbally or in writing and shall be deemed effective when served personally or directly transmitted and recorded. Any mailed or transmitted notice to the company that is intercepted or witnessed by an outside party shall be grounds for termination of contractor or persons acting at contractor's behest. Wow, that's fucked. So if someone sees you contact the company, then they'll kill you. This agreement supersedes any and all agreements, both oral and written, between the parties with respect to the rendering of services by contractor for company, and contains all of the covenants and agreements between the parties with respect to the rendering of these services in any manner whatsoever. Okay. Each party, yes. Each party acknowledges no representations, inducements, promises, or agreements, written or oral, have been made by either party or anyone not acting on behalf of either party that are not embodied in this agreement. No modification of this agreement will be allowable. See, this is great. This is perfect, because this is what I was talking about with the, with my coworker that just got hired, and he's like, but they lied to me. It's like, this is what matters. This is the key wording right here. The only thing that counts is what's written in the contract. That's what this says. If they told you something else and it's not written in this contract, it doesn't count. That's what this says. Now, you don't need this necessarily. This is just a CYA thing, right? Because the problem is, if there's a company versus a person, this is just a this is just protecting your ass against written things, because they could make promises and so it's like, oh, I'm gonna sue you. Okay, do you have proof? Well, no. Okay, you don't have proof, and what you signed on your offer letter counteracts what you're saying. You know, sorry. Your contractor shall be deemed to have the status of an independent contractor, and nothing in this agreement shall be deemed to place the parties in the relationship of employer-employee, principal agent, partners, or joint venturers. Contractor shall be responsible for any withholding taxes, payroll taxes, disability insurance payments, unemployment taxes, and other similar taxes are charged on the payments received by contractor hereunder. Company shall have no responsibility or liability of any kind to any subcontractors providing services to or for the benefit of contractor. Right, okay, so this is basically saying you're not an employee, you don't get any benefits, right? You're not an agent, which means you can't make decisions for the company or represent the company in any way. You're responsible for all your taxes and payroll and other stuff, and then if you subcontract out, that doesn't obligate the subcontractee to anything from the company. If contractor dies or is dissolved prior to completion of this, I think it's supposed to be or contract dissolved, but maybe they're like it's dissolved, like, yeah. Prior to completion of this agreement, any monies that were due to a contractor from company for services rendered prior to date of death or dissolution shall not be paid in any portion to contractors, executors, administrators, heirs, personal representatives, successors, or assigns. The company accepts contractor death or dissolution as being in breach of the agreement. Again, I mean, I understand this is all for flavor text and stuff, but it's not a good contract. Because this was already stated, right? There's already something stated elsewhere that if they die, you get nothing. If any action in law or in equity, including an action for declaratory relief, is brought to enforce or interpret the provisions of this agreement, the contractor will be held responsible for deflecting any court investigation in addition to rendering any other relief to which the company may be entitled. Attorney's fees may be set by the company in the same action or in a separate action brought for that purpose. So if the contractor is attempting to sue the company, then part of the contract is that the contractor himself has to derail any investigations by the court. Okay, that's and then the company will charge you for that. Okay. This agreement may be executed in any number of counterparts which together shall constitute the contract of the parties. In witness whereof, the parties have hereunto set their hands and seals the day and year first above written. Company sole and Nobre concern, aka SNC, a redacted company. Neat. Okay, well, let's read Operations Manual, General Vehicles and Weapons. We're probably just going to do this, and it'll just be the contract and the manual, right? Note. Okay, so Operations Manual General. Note everything within the perimeter walls is destructible, so that's the playable area. In freelance mode, any level can be completed through any of the 3 objective types. Destroy orbital defense guns, kill enemy captains, kill a majority of the enemy force. Completing runs is more profitable than leaving for the spaceport early, but dying earns very little. Yeah, we've seen that. All weapons, weapon impacts, vehicles, and explosions make noise that attracts enemy units. Even the vehicles do, huh? Oh yeah, that makes sense. So walking around, driving around, whatever. Enemy units with the eyeball icon are spotters who will attempt to sound the alarm after maintaining visual contact with a player unit or taking any damage. Oh. Panic walls will lower for enemy units, but most will only be raised if an alarm is sounded. Destroying all power generator substations will lower all panic walls. Destroying all communications substations will increase the time required to sound alarms and reduce the number of units who respond. All explosions have a telltale gray shockwave that shows their area of effect. Empty ammo depots do not explode. That's cool. Okay, Operations Manual Vehicles. Note, alternative control schemes are available in settings. Super valuable for the anti-grav. Each vehicle type has different ability. Mechs can stomp and crouch, which I forgot about. The crouch, I mean. Immobilizes but grants damage reduction. Tanks have a speed boost, RAM, blue meter below health bar. Anti-gravs can belly dive like a stomp, but less powerful, and lock their orientation. Power suits can stomp and extend their legs for extra height. Oh, really? That's cool. Anti-gravs use different movement scheme than tanks or mechs, automatically reorienting to the cursor. All playable vehicles have 2 weapon mounts. Rough terrain like Muddit will reduce speed and acceleration of non-A-grav units. Of the health bar, armor is displayed in green, shields in blue, overshield in light blue. Armor cannot be repaired. Oh. Green is armor. Got it. I mean, yeah. Right, if you have no armor, then you just blow up. Right, but I was thinking like green was health and blue is armor. And then overshield. But instead they have shields, overshields. It doesn't matter. Armor cannot be repaired. Shielding can be recharged via shield orbs from destroyed enemies, and overshield decays over time. All vehicles, both player and enemy, have directional damage modifiers. 0 to front, 40% extra damage to sides, double damage to rear. For mechs, the modifier is based on the orientation of the upper portion of the vehicle. That I didn't know. For tanks and anti-gravs, the modifier is based on the lower portion. Unless the vehicle has an open canopy like the Baltimore Loyalist tank, in which case it is also based on the upper. Oh, that's interesting. 2 different ones. Open canopy vehicles have higher than standard 100% damage modifier for rear hits, but are often more maneuverable. Makes sense? Ultra class vehicles have a bonus 25% resistance to all damage. Ultra class. Do we get any of those? Is that the Mother's Love, or is that only enemy vehicles? Because some of those are frickin' big. Kamikaze units will always display a red light when pursuing the player. Okay, Operations Manual Weapons. Note, 5 weapon mount sizes. Heavy, main, auxiliary, turret, and small. Weapons are unique to their mount size. 4 weapon types. Cannon, machine gun, artillery, and energy. Huh. Cannons are mostly slow-firing, loud, long-range, large area of effect. Machine guns are mostly fast-firing, moderately loud, long-range, single target. Artillery are mostly slow-firing, low or high arc, quiet-firing but loud on impact, and very large area of effect. Energy weapons of broad variety, but all are flat arc and largely effective against shielding, but poor against environment. You know, I bet freelance is more fun because you could probably pick your loadout. And so you could be like, this map has like chest-high walls, and so I want to have weapons that will arc over the walls without destroying the terrain, so I can shoot enemies without them shooting back, or something. Right, or walls that are as high as I am, so I can stand behind the wall, and I can arc shots over it, right? Effective against shielding, poor against environment, yeah. Specials are infinite use, but on a cooldown. Ammo drops from enemy units are weapon agnostic, but ammo depots are specific to weapon type. All weapons have a penetration value, while all environment and vehicles have a penetration resistance value. A high penetration round can damage multiple targets with a single shot. Oh! Some weapons can stun enemies for a short duration. Oh, and then you can just go straight into the freelance stuff. This doesn't even make any frickin' sense. Why is there a giant head? Why was the Z Prime a giant head? Weird. Max turn speed 0, chassis rotation speed 0, melee damage. Redacted, but you have to, once you purchase it, you get it. So let's, we'll stop for now, I think. I really want to know what these are. It's no game. Yeah. And then Irian Jaya. Meanwhile, Scandal Knight, Surf Solar, and then still 2 more. I'll be what I am. These names are so fantastic. They make me, like, really curious, you know? I'll be what I am. What does that even mean? But anyway, that is all for today. Thank you guys so much for your time and attention. Really do appreciate it. Really hope you guys are enjoying these episodes. This time we just went over the contract, which is really interesting. I know it sounds crazy, but part of me really enjoys reading that stuff because you have to like it's really amazing because talking with my coworkers, right, when we had a new company take over, and so it's basically like, you know, you're grandfathered in, but you have to, or you get right of first refusal, right? So it's like, here's the new terms. If you want them, you're hired. If you don't, see ya, right? And so reading through, and I'm like, you know, it's this way, right? To my coworkers, they're like, no, it's not. I'm like, that's what it says right there. No, that's not what it says. Okay. You know. Then a couple months later, they're like, the company did this. I'm like, yeah, it says it right there. That's what I was telling you about. No, I didn't believe it. I'm like, yeah, come on, man. So, you know what I mean? So it's like, that's why I like reading that stuff. Because they tell you. They're like, this is how we're gonna fuck you. You know, and if you don't understand, that's, or, you know, you disregard it, then that's on you. Right? So, anyway. So anyway, guys, that is it for today. Thank you guys so much for your time and attention. Really do appreciate it. Really hope you guys are enjoying these episodes. As always, guys, questions, comments, concerns, good, bad, blah, blah, blah. Good, bad, or indifferent. Let me hear them. I do read all of them. I do try and respond to all of them as well. What is your guys' unique positive moment for today? For me, I'm going to say the contract, because that was pretty cool. I know most people can't appreciate that sort of thing, but I do. So, yeah, that's my unique positive moment. Hopefully your guys just good, if not better. Hopefully better, of course. Hope to see you guys next time. Till then, guys, take care.